So a little over a year ago, ARPG fans got a pleasant surprise, if you recall, with the release of Last Epoch, an indie title that proved to punch far above its weight class, delivering a hack-and-slash loot-grinding experience that rivaled that of other big names in the genre. In fact, at release, I played somewhere around like 100 hours, had a fantastic time, which I discussed in numerous videos, before I eventually put the game down, planning to return in a future update. And it looks like that time has arrived with the release of patch 1.2, Tombs of the Erased. This adds a ton of new content, new features, endgame changes, class balance, new items, and loads of quality of life. Last week, 11th Hour Games reached out asking to sponsor a video where I got to take a look at the update early, and as such, I have been playing over the course of this past week, putting in a ton of time. I leveled up a Beastmaster, reached the endgame, saw all the new stuff, and so here is my overview of what you can look forward to in patch 1.2. This already great ARPG is getting even better. All right, so I'd like to begin with all of the big new stuff, everything that is themed around the patch's namesake, and I am in particular talking about the new faction of the Woven, along with all of their associated new content. So the Woven are described as this group of worshippers devoted to the Weaver. You'll of course remember those Weaver items in the base game, and this has got influence spread across the whole Monolith of Fate, spawning in new challenges and opportunities. Now, as for the faction itself, it's a lot of spider-like new creatures, but beyond being new enemies for you to fight, they are also tied directly into a whole bunch of new content. First is the Tombs of the Erased. Now, these are new procedurally generated side zones that are occupied by the Woven with their own unique bosses and rewards inside. So these tombs can and will spawn in any echo outside of the specific quest and arena echoes. Now, as a reminder, echoes are the name for Last Epoch's map-like system. These are the nodes that you traverse when you go through the monolith in the endgame. So every one of these, besides the quest and arena ones in particular, any other echo that you come across can have tombs inside of them. In fact, many will. In my experience, it seems like a majority of echoes will have a tomb inside of them. Now, you can actually tell right away if there is a tomb in your current map, as there will be cocoons spotted all throughout the environment. So if you see these cocoons, keep looking, because a tomb entrance isn't going to be far away. But then also, the cocoons come with their own mechanics. Breaking one of these will release a captured soul who will then go to possess nearby enemies, making them stronger, and then rewarding memory ambers as a result of killing them. Memory amber is a new currency for the Woven faction, which we'll get to here in a moment. Cocoons can also sometimes spawn a rare enemy with nice rewards as well. And then beyond being found in the Echo map on the initial layer, you're also going to encounter cocoons inside of the tombs once you get there. So you're in an echo, you're walking around, you see a cocoon, maybe you break a couple to power up enemies and get the new currency. You eventually find the entrance to the tomb, you step inside. What's that look like? Well, you're going to be hacking your way through hordes of the new Woven enemies, as well as encountering rares and elites along the way. You're going to find side paths that have treasure chests loaded up with items, and then once you reach the end of a tomb, you'll see one of multiple potential gold thread Fate Weaver bosses. Defeating them will then finally let you advance to the loot room, where you'll find a chest containing a duplicate of the current Echo's bonus rewards as a result of clearing the tomb. Now, also in that room is this Woven device that can be used to enchant any class-specific idols, granting them powerful additional perks. This is a whole nother layer to the endgame gear progression and build progression system. So that's one of the main highlights of this update. You got these random tombs as you're going about the end game, doing the mapping, moving through the echoes. You're going to see the tombs, you go in the tombs, you clear the enemies, you fight the boss at the end, and you get a whole bunch of new stuff and mechanics as a result of that. Now, beyond the tombs, we also have Cemeteries of the Erased. This is an entirely new echo type found in your echo web. It's basically like a tomb, except bigger and comes with more stuff. So you do have the same general objective. You go to the cemetery, you click on the echo, you load into the cemetery, you You move through it, defeating the woven enemies, busting open cocoons, fighting the boss at the end, and collecting your loot rewards. Then, in addition, completing a cemetery will grant you access to this altar of the Weaver. Here, you can place woven echoes. So these are a new type of echo that essentially allows you to customize the layout of your web, choosing whatever particular objectives and rewards that you're after. So there are 36 different woven echoes currently available. Some of these feature completely new endgame bosses, along with enhanced versions of existing bosses. They also provide unique rewards, as well as entirely new endgame crafting mechanics, which we'll cover in a moment. So after you find and complete your very first cemetery, you're going to be taken to the Haven of Silk. This is a new area which introduces us to the Woven faction system. So you gain reputation with the Woven faction by earning and spending memory amber, that currency that we mentioned earlier that you'll find in the tombs and cemeteries, as well as just by slaying Woven enemies. Now, with every new rank that you get in the Woven's faction, you'll be introduced to new Woven echoes that you can purchase from the vendor that will then be placed into the altar at the end of any cemetery that you clear, customizing your echo web. And then if you go about selecting and completing those Woven echoes, if you do those maps, that's going to reward you points into the new Weaver tree. So with the Woven faction, we've got the new Weaver tree. This tree provides all sorts of perks that will have an impact on your endgame experience. In fact, the developer has said that this system was designed in order to provide players with more agency here, letting you influence the rewards and encounters that you come across. How does this work exactly? Well, the Weaver tree basically functions like a passive or skill tree, but instead of modifying your character's abilities, it modifies the end game, the Monolith of Fate. So you can gain a maximum of 50 points that will be obtained as you increase your rank with the Woven, as well as by completing Woven echoes. And there are roughly 70 nodes in total in the tree currently. And here are some examples of the types of things you can pick from. So there's one node that actually lets you imprint an item into it for a chance for similar items to be granted as extra rewards whenever you complete echoes. So if there's an item that you really like, but you want better rolls on, you select this node, you toss the item in there, you run echoes, more of that item drop, boom, you will eventually get better rolls. There's also a node in the Woven tree that gives you a chance for beacons to be replaced by super beacons that will reveal more echoes in the web. You can gain a chance for a special follower to move through echoes with you, which will boost your gold drops. You can have it so that arena echoes are converted into super arena echoes, or if you hate arenas, there's a node that lets you remove arena echoes entirely from the map. You can gain a chance for your tombs and cemeteries to have these possessed nemesis inside of them. You can choose to replace any common echo rewards like glyphs, runes, and gold with different, better random rewards. And you can add new echo reward types such as memory amber, woven echoes, and dungeon keys, as well as charms dropping as rewards from echoes. And those are just a few examples of the once more 70 different nodes available in this tree. With this, they've also introduced some new options for endgame itemization and crafting. Most of this is tied into the whole Woven system, the echoes, the tombs, and the cemeteries, and all of that. So we've got set reforging. You can now shatter set items at the Forge of Shattering in a Great Bridge Woven echo. This will give you shards specific to that set item, which can then be crafted onto other items, making that item count as that set and working towards any set bonuses. In the Farsight Turtle Woven echo, you can come across the Transmuting Gem to re-roll the legendary potential of any items placed into it. So this is great if you get a good item, but that has a low legendary potential roll. In the Gauntlet of Strife Woven echo, you can use the Sacrificial Altar. Here, if you place any unique, legendary, Weaver's Will, or set item into it, it will re-roll all of its affix values onto a matching item. There's also the Relic of the Observer, which lets you replace a non-sealed attribute affix with a different attribute of your choosing. There's a device in the Rune Prison complex that now lets you replace a prefix with an experimental affix on boots, gloves, or a belt. And they've added 3 brand new crafting runes. You got the Rune of Havoc, which will shuffle the tiers of affixes on an exalted item. You've got the Rune of Redemption, which randomly changes the exalted affixes on an item into new ones. And then you've got the Rune of Weaving, which converts a random amount of Weaver's Will or Weaver's Touch on an item into additional affixes or affix tiers on that item. Also, we've got a new type of enemy. These are called champions, a subset of rare enemies with their own unique names and more powerful abilities. There are 20 champions in the game. You will encounter them all throughout. They're larger than other enemies and have this orange highlight to distinguish them. They are based on existing enemies, but come with added and altered abilities. These are going to spawn as you go through the campaign, as you're in dungeons, and while you're going through the endgame monolith. They're always going to drop an item with a sealed champion affix that will be determined by that champion's mod. So for example, a volcano champion will always drop a belt with volcano champion's affix on it. They also have a small chance to drop exceptional loot. As an example, you can get just a pile of uniques plopped on the floor. So these are new enemies you can encounter that come with some pretty big rewards. All right, so that pretty much does it for all of the title new big content. All of the stuff themed around the Weavers, these new enemies, the new bosses. You got the tombs and the cemeteries, you got the faction system, the Weaver echoes, and then all of the associated rewards and endgame changes that go along with them. But besides all of that stuff, there's also pages upon pages upon pages of additional changes, improvements, and quality of life updates that are coming with this patch. Here are some highlights. All right, first we got some updates to monoliths and dungeons. For monoliths, they've added new objectives such as slay X champions or exile mages, activate shrines or open loot lost chest until you get ambushed, stabilize an echo, or find a cocooned item. They've also improved arena echoes. They now have fewer waves and provide better rewards. Enemies in the arena now also move faster when they are further away from the player. Enemies will also spawn faster, and there's a random champion that now spawns at the end of the arena's last wave. In Spire echoes, all of the spires now spawn with a Spire Guardian, which is a special mini boss which comes with its own rewards. And if you die in an echo, any items within a small area around your corpse will be automatically brought out with you. So if you happen to die just before picking up a super valuable item, don't worry, you will take that out along with you. They also improved the end of time and monolith hubs visuals. They've made checking every timeline's corruption level easier. You no longer have to click through into it. You're just going to see it on the surface level. They've made timeline completion quests now reward significantly more experience, and they've improved game performance on several monoliths. Dungeon improvements here, we got some updates. They introduced the key charms to modify your dungeon experience. You can now also respawn in dungeons by spending a key, and completing every dungeon for the first time will now reward 2 passive points and 1 idle unlock. There were quite a few class and skill updates with some adjustments to a few mechanics and abilities. For example, ailments got a buff, making sure that you can't accidentally override a more powerful version of a dot by reapplying it too early. They've also updated and improved evade. It should be more responsive, can now be followed up with instant attacks more quickly, and they made some bug fixes to many skills and abilities across the game. Now, as for class updates, they have made adjustments to every class, but in particular, the Sentinel got the biggest overhaul. This is the highlight here, with their aim to just try to be making the class more fun. They made a lot of skill changes, they updated the passives, they reworked the skill tree and how time rot works. It seems like they're just boosting this up across the board, which is interesting because there were Sentinel builds that were like S tier the last time I played this game, but nevertheless, they're trying to improve the class by making it more enjoyable to play. Definitely think it's worth a revisit. I probably would like to actually try a Paladin build once I'm done with my Beastmaster. Bunch of quality of life improvements. This is great stuff here. You can now respec your mastery. This is done in the end of time at the same NPC that you previously used to respec passive points. So respecing your mastery is also going to reset all passive points that you have for 1 upfront cost. They've added WASD support, which can be toggled in the control section of the settings. They do refer to this as experimental, as it is still a work in progress, so just be forewarned. They made a bunch of inventory management improvements, adding multiple new inventory tabs for different types of items, making keys and woven echo stackable, and moving the transfer materials button. They also added auto storing for certain item types, so when you pick up common or rare shards, runes, and glyphs, along with keys and woven echoes, all of this will now automatically be sent to its proper storage. They've improved item pickups, increasing item pickup radius by 40%. They've added offhand weapon and ring comparison. Finally, they added an in-game announcement system for big things like hardcore deaths of any players in the top 100, or the first player to reach every level, or the first player to kill a pinnacle boss, etc. They made some improvements to the loot filter. They added a bug reporter, and they've also updated updated the game guide to reflect a lot of the new additions that came with this patch. And there was a bunch more. We got a lot of balance updates for items, enemies, and affixes. There's a whole bunch of new uniques, as well as updates to old uniques. They've added updates and improvements to both Circle of Fortune and Merchants Guild factions, and just some general improvements across the board to controller support and how targeting works. And a lot of polish and visual updates here. Visuals and sounds across the board should be better. This applies to skills, enemies and NPCs, the game's voice acting, environments and zones, pretty much everything, just top to bottom. The game now looks and sounds better. All right, so that pretty much does it for our look at last Epoch's patch 1.2, Tombs of the Erased. As I said, I've been playing over the course of the past week, leveling up a Beastmaster. Well, I actually started as kind of a druid spec, going with like a tornado build as I'm like running around in a bear form, electrocuting everything, and that was a lot of fun. But I recently decided to try out this other endgame build, which is more focused. It's a Beastmaster build, so it's all about using my Storm Crows and dealing a bunch of damage with them as we boost them up. And I also have to do like this snapshotting thing where I summon my crows with a set of gear used to boost them, and then I swap the gear to make myself more defensive while my crows keep my offensive abilities, and then I go through monoliths like that before having to redo it. I don't know, dude. I'm trying to figure this stuff out. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun. It's been a great revisit. Just in general, this game was an absolute blast when I played it last year, and this looks like the update to come back to. Like, I've really been enjoying it. There's a lot in here. I've been having fun myself, and I'm definitely going to be jumping in again. I've been playing on preview servers. None of what I've done is carrying over to the live, so I'm going to jump in again once the update officially comes out, play again on live servers. And yeah, I think I'll probably, actually, you know what, maybe I'll try the new Sentinel with the live servers, because I've already done the Beastmaster thing with preview playthrough that I did. So yeah, maybe I'll just jump in and check out the Sentinel, see if there's any good Paladin builds worth playing. If you'd like to learn more and check it out yourself, there is of course a link in the description below. Either way though, it's a great time right now for anyone who enjoys ARPGs. That is without question. I spent a few solid weeks playing Path of Exile. We got Last Epoch right now, and this update, which I should be playing for the foreseeable future. And then at the end of the month, we got No Rest for the Wicked as well. It's good, dude. It's sitting pretty right now. Lots to do, lots to play. No complaints though. That's it for today. Thank you as always for watching. Hope you enjoyed this update, checking out Last Epoch's latest update. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.